This is a really lovely cake for a spring or Easter idea. You've got your little bunnies and you've got your daffodils coming up on it as well. Let's start by showing you how to make the bunnies and also the daffodil heads. For the daffodil heads, you need a daisy marguerite cutter. There's lots of different sizes you can get these in. I think there's 3 different sizes, and I've got little ones and medium ones. Cut out the yellow flower shape, and then you want to take, and this is just using sugar paste, and then you want to get a little tiny ball of orange, and you want to pinch it all the way around the outside until it's very, very thin around the edge. Then fold it in half, fold again, and then pop it into the middle of your flower, and then push your tool into the centre, and you've got a little daffodil head. Okay, so let's do another one. A little tiny ball of orange, and when you do the larger daisies, daffodils like these ones, you use a larger ball of orange because the cutter was bigger that you used. Fold in half, fold again, pop in the centre, and then just to make it stick and also to give it that little hole in the middle, there's your little daffodil finished. Last one. Fold in half again, and then stick that one there, and there you've got 4 little daffodil heads as well. Lovely. So let me show you how to do the bunnies now. You take a ball of icing. On your guide to sizes, if you're doing a large rabbit, you want the body to be a size A. And you shape it into a cone shape, and you pop it down. Now you want a ball of white, size E, and that's going to be the belly. And I'm going to squish it until it's quite thin and a sort of egg shape. And I'm going to press it down onto the front of the rabbit and thin it all the way around the edges. Then using a cocktail stick, scratch, and that will make it look furry. Lovely. Now your bunny rabbit needs a tail, and the tail's going to be an E. So you want to shape it into a teardrop shape like that. Turn your bunny rabbit round, pop the point of the teardrop underneath his bottom, and then scratch it so it looks all fluffy like that. You now want to put a piece of spaghetti down into the body. Don't have too much sticking out because you don't want it to come out the top of the head. And the head is going to be a size C, so a little bit larger than that. That is perfect. Shape it into a long teardrop shape. So that is the shape for the head. Now what I'm going to now do with that, I'm going to cut an even line to make the 2 ears like that. Now if I hold this head up, if you could just watch how I put my thumbs underneath and my fingers at the side, and when I pinch it, the ears separate, and you've got your little bunny head. We're going to do a line up each ear, and then we're going to pop that down onto the spaghetti, and there you've got your little bunny with its head on. You now need some black paste colour. Those are for the eyes. Make the eyes long so they're friendly. And a little dot just above each eye, and that's for the eyebrow. For the whiskers, if you just do 3 little lines each side of the head, like that. And the nose is going to be done with pink royal icing. Just pipe a little blob and then pull downwards like a little shell shape. And there you've got your little nose for your bunny. And then finally, if you wish, you can just give him a few little scratches just to make him look a bit furrier. So that's how you make your bunnies. When you want to make the smaller ones, like these 2, all you need to do is go down 1 or 2 circles for each part, and they will end up in proportion, but smaller. To make this woodland Easter scene, I've used a 7-inch round cake. Now I've used a fruit cake, like a Simnel cake, an Easter cake, and I've actually covered it all over in marzipan. And then I've covered the top in a pale brown disc, which I've marked with circles. Now if you wanted to actually do this cake on a sponge cake instead of a fruit cake, just cover your cake all over in this pale brown colour, and then just mark the top with the circles just as I've done. And I put it onto a board, is a pale green board covered with sugar paste, and I've set it slightly to the back so I can do more detail at the front, perhaps pop a few little bunnies and things at the front there. Now what you need to do now is you need to spread a very thin layer of apricot jam or sugar glue all around the very edge of the top. I'm then going to take a sausage of brown icing and I'm going to stick it all the way around a little bit more. It doesn't matter if it looks a bit messy, it's all going to be covered when you put your bark on your tree stump like that. So you've stuck that all the way around. That's fab. Now what you also want to do is when you actually cover your cake, you want your tree trunk to slightly slope outwards at the bottom. So if you've got some extra brown, just put it all round with a little bit of jam to stick it on, like that, just at the bottom, and that will make your chocolate icing, when you cover it, the tree trunk, it'll stick out at the bottom. Okay. And it will look better than having completely straight sides. So you've got your chocolate icing around the bottom and around the top as well. The bottom bits are larger, they're bigger pieces than the top ones. Now you want to roll out some brown icing. And I've got some here. This is chocolate brown sugar paste, which I've added some white to. Can you see the slight marbling there where it hasn't quite mixed in properly? And if I cut into it as well, you can see it inside. That's what you want it to look like. You don't want it to be a solid brown colour. You want it with a little bit of marbling on it. So, I'm going to roll this out and then we're going to cover the sides. So I'm just going to move all my little daffodil heads. Pop them down there. Give yourself lots of space because you need to roll out lots of brown icing sugar. And then roll out your icing. And it wants to be about 5 centimetres, 2 inches taller than the top of your tree trunk. So that's about the width I want it to be. And you need enough to go right round the outside of the cake. When you've got your chocolate icing rolled out ready, you then want to jam the sides of your cake down over the bits of chocolate icing at the bottom and right over the top of that circle you've put the sausage of icing as well. I'm just using boiled apricot puree. And now you want to cut off sections from this chocolate icing and you want to drape it over the side of the cake and bring the top over so it's actually covering the lip of that icing, and then push it in. I'll just turn that round and you can see what I've done there. This is why you need to roll it so it's higher than the side of your cake, and you bring that over. Now when you're bringing the bark down here on the tree, put some folds and things in it. Actually make it look untidy on purpose, like that. Now the next piece, you do exactly the same, overlap it, tuck those little edges under there. And where you've got the pieces here that are overlapping, they're ever so easy to join together. Just blend using your fingertips, pinch them together, blend them together. Like that, and you continue all the way around until the whole of your cake is covered. When your tree trunk is covered all round with the brown icing, you can then cut some more interesting shapes around the bottom. So it's coming out in little points like this. Cut that piece off the back. And here once again. Now you can start it, make it look older and more interesting. So pinch around the top. Also pinch around the bottom and spread these pieces of chocolate icing out a bit. So you bring them out just using your fingers. And when you got to that stage, you can then use a tool. And I've got a PME number 9 tool, a pointed tool, but you could use a cocktail stick, the end of a knife, whatever suited you to do this. And you want to do lines all the way around to make it look old and barky. When you get to the top edge, use a knife and just do some little lines around the top edge as well, so it doesn't look too neat and tidy. And you continue doing that all the way around the cake. Your cake is now pretty much textured all the way around it. So what I quite like to do now is to give it a bit more kind of depth of colour so it doesn't look all the same brown. So what I'm going to use is the PME Luster Spray in the pearl colour, and just spray it on, but in kind of patches. Don't do it evenly all over. Do some areas much, much darker and some areas much, much paler. And it will look so much more interesting. So there we have a little bit more depth of colour to our tree trunk. Now we're going to do the daffodils. So I want some green icing because I want to pipe the stems up the side of the cake. I've got some green royal icing. I'm going to pop it into a piping bag, close the end of the bag and roll it up so there's no way the icing is going to come out the top. There we are. Now there's a certain way of cutting the end of the bag as if you're going to pipe grass or stems of flowers or leaves, and you want to flatten the end of the bag, push the icing down to the end, flatten the end, and then I want to do 2 cuts, 1 cut, 2 cut like that, and the shape you've got left at the end is a little pointy shape. Now when you squeeze out of that, what happens is it automatically goes to a point by itself, which is exactly what I wanted to do around this cake. So we're going to start piping grass up the side of the cake, like that. A little bit on the board. And some long strands, and those are going to have the daffodil heads stuck at the top of them. So, there we are. There's the next one. Some more grass strands pipe there. And a little short one. And let's do a long one there. So let's do a blob of green at the top, ready to stick that head on. We'll have a little one there, because it's a little short one. A big one. And we'll do another little one there. Now you also want to have some leaves for these daffodils, so we could do some long leaf shapes like that, and here as well. And then you've got your daffodils all around the side. You've added your daffodils all around the base, but we're going to do little tiny bits of grass, just like you've got a little bit of moss or something growing in the top of the tree as well. Don't do it all the way around, just do little random patches. Just a few little spikes like that. And then finally, you will stick your bunnies on. So let's have a big bunny right on top of it. Now it'd be quite nice to have one down here on the board as well. So let's pop a little bunny just there by the side of the cake, and then just add a little baby one as well. And there you've got your Easter bunny and daffodil cake all completed.